This is Bob Maloney from MyMMAnews.com, and I am just thrilled to have my guest on tonight, the amazing Jillian Peterson. And Jillian, listen, Jillian is fearless. She's out there in the mixed martial arts world, a woman, not just, training, but matchmaking with Art of War cage fighting. She's doing an amazing job. I'm part of that team. We're like family over there. We have so much fun. We have great fights. But I'm talking to Jillian tonight because Jillian is making the walk to the cage herself. I know it's something she wanted to do for a long time. Jillian, fight week. Glad to see you. How you feeling? I hope you're not stressing out too much.
A little bit. Definitely there's some nerves there because this is something I've never done before. So this is all brand new. Yeah, it's going okay though. I'm being held together by duct tape, but it's fine. So
Is this something you've been training for years now in jiu-jitsu, and obviously you cross into do mixed martial arts and everything like that? Is this something you've wanted to do for a long time? Is this just something in the last year you thought about doing? I know you travel all over the world to these jiu-jitsu seminars and you love training, but as far as getting in the cage, how long have you been thinking about doing this?
yeah, I was kind of always on and off thinking about going into the cage, but was really like my year. I think it's one of those because I'm turning 40. I was just like, I'm gonna do it before my 40th birthday. I'm gonna do it, and this fight is happening 2 days before my 40th birthday, so I'm getting it in. And yeah, I really just want to do one just to say I did it before I get too old.
Well, you know what? You're yourself an early birthday present. Tell me, listen, we were talking about you getting a fight at a couple events, and you kind of like said, I'm going to fight my friend or your opponent, Kat Messerly. Tell me a little bit about that, because you basically, you made this fight basically and probably took it to Brad. You knew your opponent. Is that how it worked? Tell me a little bit about, your relationship with your opponent and how this all came about.
Yeah, I met her a couple years ago. She trains up at 10th Planet Bethlehem. So I think we first met at an open mat up there because they have a really awesome women's open mat up there every 2 months. And so we met, a couple years ago. And yeah, I consider her a friend. We've grappled together before and everything. And it's just one of those, I tried to set up a fight for her for Art of War in the previous year, but that fell through. And then, when it came about that I decided I was looking for a fight, and I kind of know all the women in the area, so I reached out to Kat, and I was pretty much like, hey, would you like to punch me in the face in a cage? And that was history. So yeah, I just basically took it to Brad, and I was like, hey, I have this fight already set up. Do you think we could just hold it in your cage? And so yeah, he was all for it.
That matchmaking, and you know what? You can do it in your sleep. And let's talk about that a little bit, because in our previous interviews, we always talked about you getting into the part of matchmaking, and obviously it's let's be honest, it's more difficult for a woman in that spot because some men don't have the respect factor. Now you've been doing it with Art of War cage fighting now for a few years. Have you noticed? Because listen, I'm just being honest. We sell out stadiums. We have great fights. She's kicking ass. Have you noticed? Have the people noticed now that you're doing the job? Do you notice getting a little bit more respect? A little bit. Oh, I've got to return Jillian's call. Have you noticed any changes since you're built? Listen, let's face it. You're building up your resume. You've been doing a great job. You're putting all these events on by your name, Jillian Peterson, Matchmake this, and we're up, killing it at Art of War. So, have you noticed any improvements in that area?
Yeah, definitely. Over the few years that I've been working for Art of War, like when I first came on board, I wasn't doing 100% of the matchmaking. It was, a joint effort between myself and Mike Bickings because, he already had the contacts, he's had the fighters that he's dealt with for Art of War. So, it took a little time for me to build up the different relationships with the different coaches and gyms. But now it's pretty much, I'm almost doing 100% of the cards now for Art of War. So even when people hit up Mike, they're turning them to me. It's because I know what we need to put on our card, what's going to sell, what fights I want to put on, who's going to be exciting. I like being able to make those calls now. And so I have a lot more people reaching out. And honestly, every card we do, my phone blows up. It's so many new fighters and coaches want to start working with us and want to get on our cards, which, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because I want to get everyone on. But when you have like 100 fighters contacting you to get on a card, we can only put on 14 fights total, it's sometimes a little heartbreaking, because it's like, man, I know some of these guys are so talented. I'd love to have them, but you can only put on so many fights. But no, it's the talent in this area is spectacular. It's so easy to match for. We don't really have to pull anyone from outside of the tri-state area anymore. We can deal with just people that are just local. There's so many that are so close. It's honestly, I know at first I had a hard time because, people didn't know me. They're like, who is this random person trying to match these fights? But, I think people kind of maybe follow my story a little bit and they see, oh, she might actually knows what she's talking about. And, the more conversations I have with people, the more they realize, okay, I'm not just someone doing it like just to get Instagram followers or anything like that. Like I want to actually make some badass cards. And so that's what we've been doing. And it's just been so much fun.
Yeah, it really has. We have, a couple more shows before the end of the year, Art of War, but we're going to talk about that at a later date. Once again, coming up, it's fight week for Jillian. Look, she's in a great mood. It's so great. She's happy, and I'm glad to see. And I just want to say much love and respect for you for what you're doing right now and getting in the cage. Stellar Fights 51. August 27th in Harrington, Delaware. Listen, Brad Dalton is another quality individual in the sport. He's been putting on. Anytime you get to 50, he's at 51 events now. So we both know to get to that amount of events, you're not screwing people over. You're doing a good job. You're being respectful. You're taking care of your fighters. Talk to me a little bit about your dealings with Brad, because I've dealt with Brad at Stellar Fights, and he's been nothing but a class act.
Yeah, it's been super easy so far. It was like when I contacted him about putting my fight in Delaware, it's not just me fighting on this card from my gym. I got 2 other fighters too. So it's now just a team effort. So he was able to find matchups for my 2 guys really quickly. So, 3 of us going down there instead of just me, which would have been pretty terrifying. So it's better when you have, friends and teammates doing it with you. So, we've got, 2 guys. We got Chase Moeller and we got Obina Ejbabike. They're both fighting on this card. Obina's actually fighting for a title. So it's nice to see him back in the cage. It's been a year for him. So, just being able to go down there. And, the one thing I like, though, I like Delaware rules for their amateur fights, a little different. So I like the ground and pound. I like the head kicks. I like that more things are allowed. So especially if this is just going to be my one and only fight, I like the rule sets because, I think the ground and pound is going to favor me a little bit. So I can't wait to have fun down there.
Awesome. Jillian, man, if you want to get a fight, I know I'm going to have your inbox blowing up. So right now we'll take it easy. We're going to talk about giving some shout outs and some love. Jillian, listen, you're in the sport. You've made so many contacts, and like I know that there's a few people that you would love to say, thanks to, and the floor is yours.
Yeah. So, I got to always show love to my home gym, NPR Endurance MMA. I've been with them for 9 years now. Like I started as, a brand new baby white belt that seemed like she had no business in this sport. And hey, I've stuck with it. It never came easy for me. So the people there have basically been like family, like Eric Purcell, the owner, like he's always been great to me, especially now that I'm teaching there. I teach jiu-jitsu classes at that gym. I'm there almost every day of the week, it seems like. So, everyone at NPR. I got one of my coaches, Gordon Wigington. He used to fight for Stellar as an amateur. My hand's right. So he's been really putting in the time to really help me out, in the stand-up aspect. Because even though I'm not just starting stand-up, I started it years ago. I just didn't really use it as much because I really focused on jiu-jitsu and, pursuing that. But getting everything ready for me and putting everything together for MMA. Gordon's been like a godsend helping me in that area. So, everyone from that gym, super love them. They push me. So they're always going to be my number one.
Awesome. Jillian, best of skills, best of luck. I'm a fan and look forward to, you getting through this fight and the rest of the year having some fun Art of War cage fighting once again. Jillian Peterson making her cage debut, Stellar Fights 51, Art of War cage fighting matchmaker. Jillian does it all, and thank you for your contributions and your hard work. And there's nobody can ever question the work that you put in to got to where you're at, and I'm proud of you, and I'm proud to call you a friend. So go do what you got to do and kick some ass.
Thanks, Bob. I will see you soon.